not replaying it. And he's like, "Give me." Yeah, I know. And he's like, "Give me." I know you got the
some
link.
Fantasy football talk going on as we go live. Big Leg has informed me that Nick Chubb is out, and it does not look pretty. But welcome to Tales from Flipside 286, I think. This is going to be a bit of an interesting episode. The CEO is out again and forgot to inform his lackeys, so we are in charge and flying by the seat of our pants tonight.
Especially.
What he really didn't tell you was that
there's a little bit of a lag. I'd hit the button.
I was gonna say what he really didn't tell you was that he showed up to be on Wednesdays and couldn't make it Monday. Was the real story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially since we saw him on Saturday. I cut about half that.
Yes, he is in Mexico, I believe, on a deep reporting mission for foreign comics. I think Roybal must have got him to go sleuth. So hopefully he comes back with some stories.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I figured Josh hit him up to like send him out there.
Yeah, maybe. So we are in the doldrums of news. As you know, there's no promotion and no pretty much anything from the writers and the actors and all the things that we kind of live and die by here in the speculation community. So it's going to be a bit of a doldrums, at least for a while. I mean, Chris was talking, it could be 3 to 6 months before we're completely out of content.
Yeah, I mean,
realistically,
having those conversations with people in that space, honestly, more so around the AMCs and the whatnot of the world. But yeah, I mean, if something don't change soon, there's like we're fastly approaching Q1 of 2025 or 2024. We were expecting movies to be out that have gotten pushed. And there's nothing to backfill those. Like there's no movies. So yeah, it's kind of one of those like what's about to happen. It's going to be real painful. Maybe not necessarily COVID painful for the Regals and the AMCs of the world, but it ain't going to be fun real fast. So
you're going to see a lot more like rewind showings of classic movies and all that kind of stuff going on.
I mean, renting out theaters for your kids' birthday parties and showing Star Wars on the big screen.
Gonna be cheap, huh?
Well, Bill Maher is returning to work. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did. And Barrymore was going to, and she got roasted.
Well, do you think that like kind of starts a snowball of other actors returning to work and stuff like that, or where they, I guess, cross the line?
I don't know the deal with Maher. Does he not have writers in that guild, or is he just doing it himself? Or I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, well, I mean that could start like a chain reaction, right? Of other people are like, "Oh, I need money too. I'm returning to work."
I mean,
he's older and richer, so it probably doesn't hit him as hard. I mean, he's just more established, and he's been more established, and had an HBO contract for his own show for a long time. You got to imagine that pays pretty freaking well.
Oh, he's changed his mind already.
He was a partial owner in the Mets. I read at one point, so he's got money.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. Daddy didn't invest at all.
But I don't know, man. I do know Barrymore already pulled out after 2 days of saying she was going to go live. And was The View was the other one, or The Talk? One of them was going to go.
The Talk. So Drew Barrymore, Bill Maher, The Talk, walk back decisions. Oh, actually, they're walking back to decisions to resume as of 6 hours ago.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Those two quit. I haven't heard anything on Maher. I just didn't know.
Maher also, yeah, he's back in the train up also.
Oh, so he's saying no.
I mean, you don't want to be
that guy.
I mean, having all the money right now means that you will have very little of it in the future if you burn them bridges. Like, because you still got to have people come on your show. Like, I mean, like, that show's around being able to talk to people in the industry and other people like that. And if you're the person who scabbed, like, it's not going to be a good look for you having the support of people going forward in the future.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's just a tough time because I'm sure he's in the political. His thing is the political, and that's just going bonkers.
Yeah.
I have a question though. What's that do in like the podcast space for some of these people? Are they allowed to do their own thing and continue doing that, or are they not?
I heard they. I
Well,
heard
all those
they
guys are comedy writers that have their own shows, so they've they've already made a lot of that transition. I don't think that there's a problem with people. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's a problem with people showing up. A lot of the appearances are just promotional; they're not paid in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I haven't noticed any lack of guests, or maybe that's just the shows I watch. I don't know.
It probably depends on your topic, but like your Jon Stewarts and stuff, probably that are tied to somebody else are probably stuck. But your independent guys, a lot of it's comedians doing it anyways, which are an interesting breed because they write their own stuff and then they also write stuff for TVs, movies, shows. So probably
Who was it that did? Chris probably remembers. Was a female that did San Diego because she was announcing a comic book.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. There we go. I wanted to say Martha Stewart, but and I was like, wait, she's not an actress. I don't.
That's a cookbook.
I don't think Cooking with Snoop Dogg counts. Okay.
So we're talking about she was a SI's swimsuit model this year.
He's got that in a 9.8 on his wall.
You have to have that in the 98.
Yeah.
Got Marvell Neeson and Snoop Dogg, so
yeah. I was gonna say, as far as the podcasting concerned, I think the same rules apply. That as long, like it's the same thing with like doing talk shows, live events, red carpets. As long as you are not promoting content, like okay, so if you come on like a Bill Simmons podcast and you're just like you're an actor, but you're really into sports and you're talking about sports, that has shit all to do with acting. So fair game. Like if people want your commentary on something that doesn't have to do with the film industry, I think it's fair game for you to go on and speak about it. I think when it's anything that's film industry related and promotion related, that's when it becomes a problem, or even self-promotion. But if you're just going on there as like a featured guest to like talk about a subject matter, because I mean it does, like I said, it happens with Bill Simmons a lot where he'll have people come on who are just like, hey, this person's just a really big Yankees fan. And so they're just talking about the Yankees or they're talking about the Dodgers or whatever it may be. So I think that skirts the line in that way. So you can't talk about the shows you've done, but you can talk about, other subject matters, in that manner. And even historical stuff too, because I'm seeing here, it's like Donald Faison and, Zach Braff have like their Scrubs connection. They can't talk about Scrubs, even though it's historical. They could talk about, some other random shit, but they couldn't talk about Scrubs because that's a show that they received money from a residual perspective. It's a television show. That's the problem.
Okay.
That's strange.
So,
this sucks for everybody.
Who's in bigger
Don't
trouble,
these people
though?
know it affects comic book?
Yeah, the killers.
Those dickheads.
Who's in bigger trouble though? Wouldn't streaming be in trouble too? Because I mean, they burn through content. Like their whole lifeblood is new stuff.
I think they have a different contract situation.
Oh my goodness! Are we getting a dial in from? He's trying to dial in from Mexico.
We saw the view of that parking lot. There you go.
Holy shit!
They have a in Mexico.
Live in Mexico.
Let's go, boy.
That's good.
I don't know how the internet's gonna be fucking work here, but
works about like it does in West Virginia. If I tell you something,
what's going on? Oh boy,
that was good.
Works like West Virginia, Dino.
Is it really choppy? Oh,
it's actually settling in now.
Hit and miss. We'll see.
The audio's important.
We'll kick you off if it goes to complete shit.
Okay, good.
So we were just asking, wouldn't streaming probably be in more trouble than the theaters? Because they live on subscriptions. I mean,
True.
Yeah, the kids watching Disney and that need their Cartoon Network or whatever, those aren't going anywhere. But man, people that are devouring content, I think that's going to be interesting.
Well, but I mean, a lot of streaming services are again playing off of nostalgia and stuff like that. I mean, those guys are, the likes of a Paramount Plus or Netflix, they're fighting over the Seinfeld rights and Friends and shit like that. Like they want the background noise content more than anything else. So don't get me wrong, the new stuff gets new subscribers, but the people who have been like, a Netflix faithful for years or whatever, they want their old shit. They want to be able to watch, Friends and The Office and, Mad About You and shit like that. So as long as you have that type of deepness to your catalog, you're going to be fine in that capacity. But yeah, new subscribers want new content.
So maybe like the HBOs and stuff that kind of live by their premium content might be in trouble, because like you can watch Sopranos again, but there's only so many people doing that at any given time.
I mean, true, but like I don't know. HBO is a funny one too, because like HBO isn't really hurting for. They have a pretty deep backlog of content, because you have to take consideration that HBO has the entirety of Cinemax. They have everything that was. So keep in mind also that even though content was made and distributed on other channels, if it was made by Warner Brothers, it's fair. Like HBO has the ability to bid on it like anybody else, because at the end of the day, HBO is Warner Brothers, and also Discovery as well at this point.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we're talking. I mean, Big Bang
There's a
Theory.
lot of Shark Weeks.
I mean, Shark Weeks. You got all those old drag racing shows. You have the Fast and Louds and that whole content for people who care about that stuff. But then also, like I said, on the Warner side, you have Big Bang Theory was a Warner Brothers production. You have the entire DC catalog of everything they ever put on television is fair game to HBO to not put out and not offer up, because those were never designed with streaming rights in mind. So those aren't even in question. Like, if you want to go watch the old episodes of Superboy and syndication or Lois and Clark and shit like that, then I mean that stuff's on HBO as well.
Yeah, a lot of that's hard to watch for a new viewer, though. I'm telling you what. Like, I tried to show some of that to my kids, and they're like, "No, thank you."
True, but your kids ain't. I mean, let's be real about it. Your kids aren't the ones paying the Netflix bill.
No, they're not. But like, you know what I mean. It just doesn't resonate as much with some people as others. But you're right. There's a lot of stuff that'll keep people on. It's gonna be dicey. Like I know Wrexham just hit, but they can't promote it, so it'll be interesting to see how that hits versus last time.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to get the Gen V pretty soon too. There's a lot of stuff that's about to come out that like they're still going to move forward with it. And I mean, I know the new season of The Boys is being held hostage, but yeah, Gen V is going.
Well,
to
I think
happen.
that'll be a nice for us, something that we can at least talk about because it's in the universe. It's at least some new content for us to consume, and that's going to be going. That's why I've been pacing the stupid One Piece. I'm only on 6 of 8 because I'm like, there's only so much good stuff out there, so I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
we're
adults,
another 2 weeks away from Loki season 2.
Yeah, maybe adults will find anime, man. You can watch that for years because there's so many episodes of some of it.
Well, and there's so many people that all they do is stream. There's people that literally don't watch live TV, and I'll be honest, I'm if you don't include sports, which obviously you can't take sports away from me, but if you don't, I'm not watching any other shows live really. The only stuff I even know I'll throw on like ESPN or NFL Network for background noise, and that's it. And let's just say that's another streaming service that I use to turn it on. I don't know. Yeah. So
yeah, like if I'm wondering,
sports, I just stream, and I wonder what the percentage is of people that get the streaming for free, not necessarily from I guess you could consider bootlegs and stuff, but a lot of people like my Netflix is through my phone. Like it just comes with the service I sign up for, and Netflix probably one I wouldn't shit can anyway, but it just. Yeah, so some of that's gonna be okay. What's Verizon get? Is that HBO Max or
Disney? You get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, but I think it's like an extra $60 or something. I don't know, but it's bundled together.
Okay. My generic T-Mobile is free Netflix.
No, I'm still on a plan with AT&T that still has the HBO in it somehow. Like the plan went away, they canceled it on me. My wife called the bitch and was like, the only way we're doing this plan is if you put it back, and they put it back. So,
yeah.
Still
had
getting
that
Max for
before.
free or whatever the hell it is today.
Yeah, Max.
So, I don't know. There isn't anything else in the freaking
I mean,
that's
we got
not the writer's strike going on.
the Aquaman 2 trailer.
Oh,
came
the
out.
Aquaman. What are our thoughts? I mean, what are our thoughts on the trailer? Let alone our thoughts on the damn thing going where it's going.
So Aquaman's done, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm sorry, it's filmed. It's gonna
coming
release.
out in
it's
December?
filmed. Believe so. People have seen it. Like test audience have seen it, and people thought it was trash. Apparently. Yeah. Let's see. Aquaman, Last Kingdom, or the Lost Kingdom. Release date December 20th. So yeah, it's a Christmas release.
I liked my 1 second, or okay, 1/4 of a second of Amber Heard.
Yeah,
that was good.
yeah. There's a blinking you miss it, Amber Heard.
She's still in the movie?
Yeah, I think only because Chris said that. You think only because you said it was in there that I was like studying. It was like, "Where's Amber?" instead of "Where's Waldo?" And I was like, got her!" Like third time through.
Yeah, like at the very end, it's like, and she's gone. Like it's like you blink and she fucking is no. I mean, the way the plot seemed is like, how does he have a? I mean, spoilers. He has a child with her, but she's nowhere to be found. And I'm just like, how are they gonna make that work out?
Yeah,
How,
and it's
how
yeah.
long ago
He
was the original Aquaman? 18?
Like 5 years ago. It was.
I can
It was.
look it
I
up.
remember the theater I was in. It was definitely, and who I was with. It's definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah, I mean, it was ways before. I'm like, this just feels like it's been a long ass time waiting, and they fucked with
Yeah,
it too
18 or
long.
19.
That's
It
an
had to have
18.
been.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a long damn time for sequel and a lot of universe bullshit. I mean, they would have had to get this damn thing out 2 years ago for it to still have an impact. I think.
Oh
Yeah.
dang! Red Hood with a $4.99 super chat. What's up?
Appreciate that.
Thank
What
you,
up,
bud.
I mean,
Look at all-
honestly,
What up, bud?
it would have needed to happen. I could still say that like it could have happened in recent history if they weren't completely like dragging the old universe out to pasture. Like, yeah. So it's that's the biggest issue I feel like is that this universe does not matter. Like we are just rolling out. It's like when a company has announced that they are going out of business and people are still showing up to work, but like their hearts aren't in it. Like their heart's not in it. They don't care. Like they're just riding out the wave until they start selling the fixtures, and that's kind of where we are at this point.
Yeah,
Especially-
I'm glad we got Black Manta. Oh, sorry, man. But I'm glad we got Black Manta. I get to finish off this, hopefully finish off the story. I mean, looks great the way they set it up. I don't know. I think it'll be good. I'm waiting for. And does Momoa, is he gonna draw enough appeal on his own? Is that character? Because people like that
Check
character.
out those muscles.
Yeah,
Of course
no,
they-
yeah. Talking your wife into that is generally a little easier. We've all got those characters.
Him and Channing Tatum do all right with the wife when they're interested.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, I think honestly, like, and I think I mentioned this last week or whenever we last talked about Aquaman, is that he would be probably a lot more upset about the current state of things if he pretty much didn't already have a lock on his next role in the DC universe. Like, I mean, within a week of Safran and Gunn taking over, they had a conversation with him that he left like damn near jumping in the air and clicking his heels together. Like, he's good. Like, I mean, Lobo, whatever it may be, like, he's good. So he's like, all right, well, I mean, yeah, this hurts me immediately. It hurts my pockets because he's probably an executive producer and gets points on this movie. But yeah, so he's actually, no, he's not a producer. So he's probably just getting whatever, salary they promised him to do this movie, and that's it. So if it don't work out, he don't give a shit. He got his paycheck and he's on to
Well, he was signed this deal probably so long ago. He was a minimal star then. I mean, he was just coming off of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I mean, when you're not that invested, I mean, again, that's the reason why you get a different response. Like what happened to ScarJo with the going straight to streaming scenario as an executive producer, she got fucked out of back end points. It's a different story. When all your money's up front, you can be, happy and positive about the current state of things. You didn't hurt your pockets any.
And they're not going to fucking recast Aquaman anytime soon, because can you imagine them going with a different version at this point?
No.
They're just going to shelve that character, I think.
Nah, they could definitely do it. I just don't think anybody gives a shit about Aquaman. Like,
that's what I mean. Is like there's not enough interest to do anything. Like, you're going to bring Aquaman back before you deal with so many other characters.
I mean, and everything that it seems like with what Gunn has planned, like he doesn't want, like he's doing the mainstreams because he wants his opportunity to tell the mainstream stories in the form of, with his Wonder Woman story, his Batman story, his Superman story, the big three. But then we're getting Mr. Terrific, we're getting fucking, Metamorpho, like we're getting deep cut characters, the Creature Commandos, like Gunn's like, I'm doing the big three because the big three are what's gonna like get asses in the seats. But I'm gonna go do what I've always wanted, the stories I've always wanted to hear told in live action about these random obscure characters that only he and like a handful of other people were reading back in the day. So
yeah. CEO, you got anything to add? You find anything in Mexico?
We're looking at comic books in Mexico.
Did you find any?
Not yet. They got an Addy Grant off Marvel's Deadpool 13 variant and sketch for like $125.
Telling you, if you find yourself a honey hole, let me know. I'll Skype in and try and find you some stuff.
Yes.
You're in one of those cities
I'm
where you
gonna go there tomorrow. Probably.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm probably cutting in and out.
If you see
tomorrow,
old Spider-Man episodes with big butts on them, get those.
Yes.
Where Mary Jane is not J. Scott Campbell sexy, but earlier sexy. That's where you go.
I told my Mexican employees down here about that, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Let me know when you see comic books." So. Yeah.
he's putting out feelers.
Nah,
Oh, you gotta have runners in Mexico to like jump over the border with you, all that kind of stuff. Right?
I got stopped by customs today. It was a great time. So it was great. It's over my deodorant of all things. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
How much drugs did you hide in your deodorant then?
You know what's funny? They took it to the machine too. They fucking scraped a little piece off, and I'm like, bro, if I had cocaine in my deodorant, I'd be a lot fucking happier than I am right now. So
Mexico, like they are sticklers. Like I have lost bottles of lotion and shit that were just like a hair over that 3 ounces. When it's like, I left the States with that shit. And now you was talking to me from leaving Mexico with it. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, I don't even care. You can have it, throw it away. You can use it. I don't even care. So I'm going to jump off right now. I got to go downstairs and eat some more tacos and steaks and stuff. So I'll let
All right, man. Go. We'll see you.
Don't drink too much
Enjoy.
tequila.
All right, boys.
Later.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, boys.
Later.
All right. If nobody has anything else, I'll jump and start the market report. I got a lot of weird stuff this week.
Let's go for it. I was going to throw out one more thing about.
Go ahead.
I was just looking through some news, and DC is apparently going back and forth with Bill Willingham, who created Fables.
Yeah. I forgot about the Fables thing.
Yeah, it's like he swears up and down that the book is in fucking public domain, and DC is like, no, we reserve all rights and stuff like that. I was like, man, if somebody fucked up that badly and let Fables slip through the cracks, I would laugh my ass off. So,
well, some lawyers got to be fucking figuring this out, right?
I mean, so that's the funny thing. Like, I mean, Fables is recent history. Like, I can see somebody like the paperwork not being in order with the shit from like the 80s and the 70s because, television and film rights were never really in the preview when they were thinking about this stuff. But you would have your shit together. I mean, when the fuck did Fable come out? I mean, shit, that book.
Like early 2000s, maybe
2003,
yeah,
5.
Yeah, 2002. Yeah, because it's dated on the artwork 2002. At that point, you kind of had this shit. You that was in people's zeitgeist. They were thinking about that when I mean, shit. Like I remember at that time because that's when Mark Millar was just like selling off the rights to shit like before the books were even done.
Yeah,
like, he was
taking wrote books.
Yeah, he was taking storyboards and motherfuckers being like, "Hey man, I got this cool thing called Wanted. It's about fucking villains taking over the world. I've written a half an issue. You want to buy it?
Would you like me to finish it?"
Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, for DC not to have their shit together is just like would be a serious indictment on what was happening at DC at the time if they didn't have their shit together. But I mean,
I
that
don't
was
exactly
also
understand what got him so riled up.
I mean, that is a good question. Let's see what he said. Let me go back
Was it
and
something
find the
about
article.
other artists doing stories on it? And I sort of read it, but I didn't understand it.
So how did they lose it? They just didn't somehow
He gave it away,
follow.
he says. He says he signed a contract with DC and they didn't. So he gives up his side of the rights, which I have no fucking idea how that would work.
I don't either. That's I've really heard of it like this. When I understand the Winnie the Pooh shit, and
Well, I understand Marvel shit, but isn't Fables is sort of, I haven't read a lot of it, but it's sort of based on other historic stuff too, right?
I believe it is. I honestly have never read an issue.
Yeah.
So it's like a twist of.
Yes. I mean, so as the person who owns the rights to something, you can sign it over to anyone. It's the whole reason why Peter Pan makes money for that orphanage children hospital in Great Britain, is that the creator of Peter Pan sold the rights or wrote over the rights to that orphanage. So anytime anything ever is done with that character, it pays them basically. So yeah, I mean, if you own the rights to them, you can do whatever the hell you want to them, or you can release them to be public domain. Like you can state that these are now open to the general population. Normally, it happens through just natural order of things. If people die, time, and things that they cross over in the public domain. But you can fast forward the process. You can just say, no, this is public domain. It's the same way that the music that people use on YouTube videos and things like that, are public domain. It's like, here, this is a public domain music. It can be used. It's the same reason. I mean, the same thing fucked up and happened with the first Walking Dead movie, is that because of they fucked up on the copywriting and it's the naming is Z versus not having the Walking Dead or the Night of the Living Dead. Sorry, the Night of the Living Dead versus.
Night of the Living Dead.
Living Dead versus the Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And how it was copyrighted. That movie is fucking public domain because they fucked up on the copywriting. So you can show that anywhere. You can go get a copy of it. You can play it on the lawn at any college. You can put it on the side of your house, charge $5 for people to come see it. Nobody can do shit about it. So he is insinuating that is the current state of things. And honestly, I mean, it was Vertigo. I don't know what the contracts look like. That might have been during a time when they were trying to do the whole compete with image thing and giving people controlling rights or a portion of controlling rights. Or maybe somebody just fucked up and he still had all of the rights. And he had a deal where they were just paying, they were basically taking a percentage off the publishing of the book for him. Who knows? But the way this reads is that over the last 20 years of engaging with DC and attrition and employee replacement, that the relationship between him and them just went to shit. And so he's like, all right, cool. Well, here's my last fuck you to DC, is that I'm releasing my book to be public domain now. So anybody who ever wants to do anything with Fables doesn't have to pay DC a dime if that's the way it reads out. So, and I can honestly see, based off of what was happening at the time, again, like he says, with the attrition, red tape, somebody might have fucked up and allowed this to happen because they just never thought that it would ever be an issue. No, nobody in their right mind gives away something like that as a moneymaker. So they're just like, oh, this isn't really going to happen. And I guess somebody was spiteful enough to do it.
Would he have to have done it back then or now or what?
No. If he's got the rights now, he could totally just say, All right, cool. That I mean, it's the same thing that Diddy just did with basically giving everybody back their publishing. It's like
Okay.
as the controlling person of the thing, you can determine what the hell happens to it at any point in time.
Do you feel like Alan Moore's like fucking clutch move to him?
Oh, he's probably
yeah.
celebrating him because God, they like the way that contract was written for Alan Moore and him getting the rights back to the Watchmen. They fucked him royally because it was just like, oh, whenever we stop publishing the Watchmen, it reverts back to Alan Moore. They just never stop publishing the Watchmen. They just keep using it perpetually, and the rights will never revert back to Alan Moore. And that's the shadiest shit ever because they made the men create whole new characters because they got Charleston. They were like, we kind of want to use these Charleston characters, so you can't use those. But if you make up your own, it's a different story. Do whatever you want to.
Throwing something out there for Awesome Sauce Radio.
Feel better, Blind Adam.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, fuck short story though. But I'm sure Alan Moore's like, God damn it, that's an impressive little move somebody did. So,
Yeah. So I mean, if it's true, I mean,
who knows?
bravo
I
to
mean,
him.
I don't even. The way I read it, he's not even sure he's right. He's like, I think I'm right, but I am not 100% sure I'm right.
Yeah.
But go ahead and publish. All right. We're having some technical difficulties because I think my Wi-Fi is working about as good as on the boss.
There's
man.
West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, here was one that I thought was interesting. I've never seen a Mark Jewelers of this.
Mm.
I mean, you don't think of Mark Jewelers this far back. I mean, I don't think of Mark Jewelers this far back. I'm not saying they don't exist. People don't know about them. It's just not where you think it is. Like, it's really in my head. The 80s, 90s stuff had a lot of Mark Jeweler. I know it's there before there, but people aren't like chasing it.
Yeah. I think the only reason I know this it exists is because it's on my MCS watch list. And not that this is that copy. It's like one of those ones where I keep looking at it and it's always blank. Like, I've never seen a copy there. I've just seen the placeholder for it.
Yeah, and just for reference, a 7.0 of this graded just sold for about 700, so it's selling at a premium. I mean, I didn't dig into the details, but I'm trusting somebody's not going to list it as a very good find plus and think it's higher than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it got good money. I mean, it got probably a 50% premium.
Yeah, I'd love to just press it, throw it in a slab, let it lay and pray with it on, for sale, if that's your goal.
Yeah, somebody's
let
gonna do it
let
right.
them annotate it, make sure they freaking annotate it.
Yes.
Yeah, so from the looks of the first Mark Jewelers were available at Comics August of 72. And this would have been September of 73.
After that, yeah.
So real early in the process, though. That's awesome. I just don't think of them that far back.
Because isn't there Mark Jeweler Hulk 181s out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 180.
Yeah, so I mean that's what that same time period. That's what 70. 74. So yeah, I mean
4 or 5, yeah.
So yes, I mean we're right there.
I haven't seen a Mark Jeweler 181 pop up in so long I forgot about it.
That's true.
I've seen more 180s pop up. Either that or it's the same couple copies floating around eBay for ridiculous asking prices.
Somebody buys it and just lists it higher, buys it, lists it higher.
So with the Mark Jewelers, aren't they? I know there's a lot of them that are price variants. Is this a price variant compared to the normal?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's
I
just
don't, most of them aren't price variants.
Okay. Oh, there's only like a handful of them, like First Iron Fist, stuff like that.
I don't know.
Are you thinking that
35
35 cent? The 35 cent covers?
Yeah, there's a 35 cent versus regular, but are they exclusive? They're not exclusively Mark Jeweler. Those were just
No, they're not.
limited release.
Yeah, those are test markets, but because I have a Mark Jewelers Iron Fist, and it's also a price variant as well.
Well, that's
I
why
don't think there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be just a stars aligning type scenario.
might have been that the market included the Mark Jewelers that they release the price variant in.
Okay.
Or you have a really, really rare fucking duck. I don't know. I guess I haven't researched that.
Yeah.
Speaking of errors and weird things, this is one I don't recall in my brain. I'm not saying I haven't forgotten about it over time, but ASM 194 first black cat error says yellow bar error, and I was like, what are we talking about? And I had to
Look it
pull
up.
up an image.
That little
corner
piece of
there,
yellow right there, you know.
little piece of yellow makes it an error.
Why? I don't. Pretty sure I never heard of this one.
I've heard of this one for sure, but I didn't know where it was until I saw the zoomed in picture that you sent.
It's not labeled as an error by CGC, but that doesn't mean anything because they miss shit all the time.
Yeah, that's one of those where, like we graded 2,000 of these already. Just you're good.
Well, this guy
wait.
said something about he's been looking at Heritage and other auction sites and has only seen 2 other ones listed, and this is the highest because the other 2 were an 8 and a 9. I'm sure there's more floating, but hell, who knows if CGC ever notes it?
He colored that in himself.
Well, Recall Comics talks about it.
What did anybody know what they said? What this guy said was that it was caught very early in the print run, the mistake. So would imply that it's limited, but
I mean, currently on eBay, I just found 3 of them that people are wanting damn good money for.
And those are the ones that people noticed. There's likely 2 or 3 that aren't noticed. So I don't know. I guess something to add, if you happen to find a really, really nice one with this, it might get yourself a premium. Probably get yourself a premium at any grade, but something to look for. A little easier to find, at least when you're digging through bins, than the DCU variant. It's right at top. Not that this is in bins, I guess, but, you know. Now that you know, you know.
Yeah, Recall says the same thing, that it seems to be featured here to an early print run variant where a small yellow stripe can be seen at the end of the Marvel Comics logo after the Comics Authority logo. Blah, blah, blah. The error only seems to be seen on direct copy, or seen on some of the direct comic shop editions, with the issue corrected on later direct copies.
Okay. When he doesn't state any kind of rarity, it means there's not a lot of good information on it. I mean, because that guy is a legend. You know what I mean? He knows more shit than most of us have ever even realized were errors. So, had to throw a couple of foreign comics up this week just because there was of interest. This is the only country I've seen the Showcase 4 kind of cover used on. Yes, different color and all that. It does contain the story. This is the French Canadian. This book's weird because people will list it so many different ways. They'll list it the French Canadian way, which is definitely not Showcase 4. So I've seen it go significantly higher for better copies, but also significantly lower. It is a comic of interest of mine. Like, I would love to get one of these just because it's unique and interesting, but prices are all over the board on this puppy. But as I said, I have not been made aware of a vintage era other edition using this cover. And this is not quite in date. I think this is less than 10 years from the original, but maybe more than 5. But
well, I know
back then, still pretty vintage.
Well, I know that, like, French Canadian books, like, the people that live in that Providence, like, never love their comics leaving that Providence. So
no, they don't love it, but now at this point, they're
assholes.
selling it for enough money that they will. You're seeing more of it. Like, it used to be, if you're just looking at eBay, they were a lot scarcer, but I think at this point, there's a little bit more of a market for them because they didn't want to let them go cheap, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if this is cheap or not cheap. Like I said, it's definitely nowhere near as rare as a Showcase 4. Like I said, because it's a few years later. But who the hell was watching this book in a limited market of French Canadian books? this is another one that was a later printing, but gets huge. This is the Hulk 3 from Israel. It's the Hebrew edition, printed in '96. There's a Hulk 1, and I think all the way through 6 edition. The Hulk 1 has sold very well in the, let's say 3 to 5,000 range. Definitely 2 to 3, 4 range for a 1980s book. But the appeal of it being in Hebrew and just looks so different gets a lot of collectors kind of in it. As I've said before, like when it just looks so foreign to you but so the same, I think that's where the rarity really hits. Like when it is in a just a complete different I don't want to say different language, it's the different font lettering, alphabet. I get alphabet's the word I want to use. The Hebrew, the Arabic. When you get into some of the Asian countries where you see the traditional cover, but you just see like the words are nowhere where you can make sense of it. Those are a sweet spot. So the Hulk 1 has garnished a lot of attention and continues to sell at a high price. Again, for a 1986 book, that's a strong price.
Yeah.
For
Well,
something that is
3.0.
For a reprint. I mean, listen, from 1960s to 1980s, I struggle with reprint versus edition, but I'm going to call this a reprint. It's 30 years later, but damn, that sells well.
Well, and then what in Israel don't like if the individual comics don't sell, they bind them together, right? Is that within that same this time period as
Definitely
well?
the Arabics had, but they were a little longer. I don't know that I've seen this one in a Tomei edition.
Okay.
I
can't remember if Josh told me that or not.
I have not seen enough of these to say. I mean, it's definitely a hard book to find in the 80s. I mean, out of Israel. I mean, again, it's not exactly a not war-torn mess of a country.
Yeah.
Where you hold paper items.
Almost 40 years old at this point.
Yeah, I've not seen a Tomei of it, which is when they cut it and put it together. So I won't say it exists or doesn't exist. I've just not seen it.
Well, I mean, Israel's just as bad as the French Canadian books. They don't want those books leaving either.
No, and like I said, this one has the Hulk 1 has found a lot of kind of golden age collectors for some reason. It connects to them, or kind of the high dollar book collectors that have found this book and clinged on to it more than you'd see some of the other foreign editions. So if you were asking me, the Hulk 1 is a top 10 foreign book, just in awareness and rarity.
Oh, so would you think that, like the like kind of like the American editions, like the first 5 will eventually like catch up to those prices, or the gaps will close, if you will?
I don't know, man.
I mean, not to the American edition, but like could this potentially be a $500 book like 5 years from now?
Honestly, I'm thinking compared to like a Hulk 2, this is a pretty strong price.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it could gain some value, but I honestly think this is a strong price for a 1980s book that,
Yeah.
Could it hit 5? Sure. I just, the price drop from Hulk 1 to Hulk 2 is definitely significant. So, for this to be a, let's say, 10x drop, maybe that closes to 5x. But yeah, it's still a really strong sale. Speaking of books that surprised the shit out of me, Solson Christmas Special #1, as Chris corrected us. Samurai Santa, first Jim Lee published art. I was shocked as hell to see $250 for a 9.0.
That seems like a pretty good deal, right?
I was thinking that was crazy money. What did you find out on the 9.8? Easy.
Maybe not then.
Okay, so at a 9.0, $250 is the high for it this year. Like there was a previous sale back in August that sold for $250 as well, but then like in April and January, one sold for $175, one sold for $170, and a 9.8. The last sale of this book was $1,025, which is an all-time high. This on the census, there's only 9 9.8s. The highest ever for a 9.8 was, what was that again? 1,800, and that was back in 2022. So,
I mean, that's wild numbers for just somebody's first art, right?
I mean, they always go though. I mean, Frank Miller's, Steranko. I mean, yeah, Jim Lee's more of he's a modern history guy, but his first artwork on his first work on X-Men is always one that sells. Even his signature is a dime a dozen, but you throw a signature on a copy of that, you're going to make some money off of it. Coyote 11, McFarlane's first,
yeah, that does sell well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like I honestly haven't had a book signed by him in ages, except for the one copy of this I had, because it's the one thing that kind of in his history that the book series he's known for, and the first thing he ever did. Like those are the two things that make the most sense. Like I think recently I stumbled across a shop that had Frank Miller's first work in comics, which was that random Twilight Zone comic.
Oh yeah. My brother loves that book. He's got a stack of them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, especially when you whip that out in front of them to have them sign it, if you're lucky enough to be there to have that experience, like they could be head down, not paying attention to shit all day long. You'll get a reaction out of them pulling out a Solstice Christmas special or a Twilight Zone, because they go, man, I haven't seen, especially when it's a little more obscure. And they go, man, I haven't seen one of these in years. Like, yeah, my first work. Wow. That's really you get a little bit more of a reaction out of them when you pull these type of things out. Like, so something to be said about them.
Yeah. There's 113 blue labels, 108 signature series.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll let any of these go, but I'm going to do a double look through my back catalog on this at this point, though.
Oh, to see if it's worth grading.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's one of those. I'm like, shit. I mean, it's a book I wouldn't even have looked at. Is it worth grading at a 9?
I mean, easy. If you're still in the census, like I kind of want to compare that number to Uncanny X-Men 248, which is his first X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men.
Because nothing special happens in that book at all, except for the fact that it's Jim Lee's first.
His first, yeah. I forget how fucking GPA does this. X-Men's do their shit stupid as hell.
Yeah, it's hard to find certain shit, dude.
No, it's just hard to find that specific title.
X-Men run is
bullshit. You got to star when you find Uncanny X-Men or Giant Size X-Men, you got to put the star on it.
Yeah,
that and the new X-Men run are fucking nightmares.
I don't care whose account you're using. Click the star and they'll thank you.
Yes, those two are fucking nightmares. So you have to use X-Men and then it changes.
Dude, I started GPA just because it's easier. Like I'll start GPA and I'll just go to one that's sold recently and that'll take me to the census. Because trying to go straight from the census, it's just a pain in the ass.
But it's the worst. Those two books are the worst. Anything in the Uncanny X-Men run and anything in that.
Oh, okay. New run. Oh, dang it! It's the wrong X-Men that's saved. It's the 91 series. Like, who saved that?
Yeah,
no,
seriously.
Is it in the account we talked about? That's me, because I saved the one that goes to new X-Men to get the Phantomus. Or not Phantomus, Phantom X.
I'll be there in a second, guys.
So you want the X-Men 248, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a $83 was the last sale, 9.8. 2021 180, 2022 197.
Well, I was looking for census numbers, so that being
census numbers. Oh,
I got this. No, you're good. I got the census
422.
Honestly, only 124 graded copies, 49 9.8s. So, it's kind of the same ratio, but this is a rarer book. as far as like stuff that you're going to run across. So it makes sense that the value of it is so much higher because you're talking
on the all black cover, and there's only 998s.
Yeah, I mean, it's a book I've had in my possession, and the highest copy I've ever had is a 7-up. So
I just didn't think to look about grading it. That's the thing. Is like sometimes your brain is stuck on 9698, 9698, 9698, and you're like a 9.0. I don't even think about that process for a book like this.
I start playing the rarity game. That's legitimately what starts happening in my head. Is that I'm like, oh, this isn't the cleanest copy, but how rare is this book?
Yeah, I guess I just didn't realize.
I mean, you see good money off of rarity. I mean, it's not necessarily as good as having a 9.4 or a 9.6 or a 9.8, but hey,
this is one of those that just shocked me at the price point at a 9.0. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Here's another weird one.
That's cool.
An Elvis photo cover in a cover. So Young Lovers 18 from 1957, an Elvis cover. Like I said, I am very fascinated by the romance covers, the cowboy romance covers. So Elvis in a cowboy hat is amusing. Again, another one of those, like, dig through a box, you might find something weird, man. I don't know what you're looking for, but I think if I saw Elvis, I would stop.
Yeah.
Dang.
So,
first photo variant.
I'd buy it for the Elvis. I'm not telling you that's what I'm looking for at auction right now, but if I was in a box and the price seemed reasonable, less than this, I'd be like, that's going home with me.
If you saw it for $60, yeah.
Think about the cutting edge technology at the time it took to make this cover.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, man.
Like,
in 57? Yeah.
Those things that you just look at and go, that's wild. So I don't know. Just when you're in these weird boxes that are not, my favorite boxes are miscellaneous and magazines, man. You find the weird shit in them and it's fun.
I got to dig around at an antique mall. I didn't find shit, but like it was fun to dig around and that kind of stuff. Like, because you just didn't know. I just didn't know what I was going to run into. It was just like weird stuff.
You've almost got to be on a psychedelic trip and just let your mind look and say, well, that's just cool. I'm just going to take it just in case.
I'll try that next time.
You may lose like 4 out of 5, but that one that you do grab that's worth it, it'd be worth it. You're end up with a bunch of dollar books that you were like, that was so cool.
That was worth a psychedelic trip.
And you never lose on a psychedelic trip. So.
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror-like covers. I think this is more of a crime cover, but I love this one. Just I don't know. Just it has always spoken to me. Not that I use, but it just has always been one that just screams out uniqueness and the era. So good sale, strong sale on a low grade book. I like how he calls it the junkie cover.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I love it.
I just
noticed the junkie cover on my eBay search list.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just noticed the tie off and the
yeah, right. That one's very detailed for what it is.
Yeah,
for the time, that is extremely detailed.
Yeah.
My favorite Mary Marvel cover, Mary Marvel 5, the butterfly. Speaking of fucking psychedelic trip, this feels like a psychedelic trip. Love this one. I looked for more information on what made it poor. I'm gonna have to assume something's missing, but it's a decent looking cover with not a ton of wear. I think that's high for somebody because, again, these Mary Marvel comics, especially these early ones and the ones that are very, very popular, so tough to find. So,
I bet you the cover is not attached.
Boy, if that's the biggest problem, I would take it. I got to think something's missing for it to be poor. I looked at the front and the back, so beyond that, it's got to be a piece somewhere out of there.
Yeah.
Superboy 1, very, very tough book. I've talked to a lot of dealers about this one. For some reason, this is way above the average for the years to find. People just, I don't know if they didn't like it, didn't keep it, didn't sell well, who knows. Superman cover with the cool kind of turn away flip cover. Strong sale for a 4.5.
Yeah, it's a great cover. You don't see a lot of those.
No, I've talked to a lot of dealers about it because every time I see one, I ask about it, and I'm like, man, I've only had one or two, or it's just a bitch.
Yeah. I definitely never had one. I'm thinking of all the walls. And,
I've owned one, but it was low grade.
Mhm.
Harley's back under 3K, which is, I don't know what my buy point on Harley is, but her and Miles are ones that I always kind of just judge, and Venom. So
Yeah.
she's a tad under 3K, which means she's on a downtrend, but not down enough that I'm jumping. But something to watch.
I mean, this was also an auction, so
Yeah.
Would you not take the gamble on a raw and grade it?
if you can
Maybe.
find them, let's be real about it.
If you can find them. If you're Red Hood and just found 15 of them.
Yeah. Did he really?
His shop found
his shop found those. They found
Yeah.
a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
And so he's
he's pressed for it. Yeah,
it's an easy book to press. It's just whether or not the damage is there in the first place.
Yeah, the only problem with the book was that it was in a long box that like didn't use bags or boards, and like so it's like slightly like
the wrinkle.
crooked, but it's not. There's no spine ticks or anything like that.
It's like a wave. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
fix that.
Yeah. So
probably did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he already did. I don't know if they sent it out for grading yet. I can't remember.
He'll tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah. There's no secrets of him.
I know it's the book Carter chases, this Gina 6, which is a, what do we call it? Do they call it a prototype to Love and Rockets? Not Love and Rockets, the other one.
Omaha?
No.
Paradise.
Strangers in Paradise.
Yeah, Strangers in Paradise.
Sorry. Like some of the characters make an appearance there as anamorphic animals. It's a weird book. People are aware of it, but I don't know if people actually look in the section of the books where these things appear. Though for the highest graded copy, it feels slightly cheaper than I would have thought. Because again, they don't pop up a lot.
I mean, like, what did you ever end up getting that first printing of Stranger in Paradise graded?
Yeah. I think it was 9.4.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, that. The reason I reference that is because I think the issue being is that, don't get me wrong, Strangers in Paradise has its love. I'm a big fan of it, but I think the market has started shying away from those more profound independent comics. And so if you're a prototype of a profound independent comic, you're not getting something.
It's a niche market.
Yeah. It's the niche of a niche. Yeah.
I would say, though, if you're a Terry Moore fan, this was a great grab.
True, but you have to be paying attention to have seen it come up.
Truth. I don't disagree. Like, I know I have shown this book off at least 4 times in our show. But considering we've done a lot of these and I watch for this weird shit, that's not a lot. Another one I love, Vampy. She seems to be down just a tad. I won't swear to it, but it feels a little low based on where I've seen the 9.0s.
I think the 9.6 just sent the record, like 18 grand or something.
Yeah, and I think a 9.0 jumps to well over 3. So I think this is a little low. I didn't dig into the census, but I think it's been a little higher, but it's not off like some of the big boy publishing books because it's still a bitch to find in any grade that's respectable. Speaking of off the beaten fucking path characters, Frank Einstein, the Madman, 9.8. Used to be a much harder book to find, but I've seen a decent number of 9.8s. Seen it sell all over the board, but this is right at that price that is just above what I want to pay. But I do think I've owned a lot of high grade Copper Age. I've had probably 8 copies of this book, and always it's the front cover right where that black T-shirt is in the lower section near the top staple or the bottom staple that rubs. I've never had one that didn't have a decent chunk of rub right at the bottom staple. So I think it's a tough 9.8.
Unless there was a warehouse fine.
Everything's a warehouse find on eBay, man. This is just one that I thought was cool. We talked about Night of the Living Dead, City of the Living Dead, a one-shot comic by Avon. Kind of a cool one-off book. It's not my favorite version of a zombie, but a cool book to look at. Got a Gears of War 9.9 for
That's
those
crazy.
of you that like the video game tie-ins. It feels like a tough 9.9 though, man. That's all black art, dark cover. I don't recall the Wildstorm being especially nice printed material. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is a unicorn. Like,
Yeah.
But the fact that it went for 305, I mean, it's just the wrong time to try and move something like this.
where nobody was looking, there's no hype. I mean, somebody, if Gears of War gets a little hype, is going to make some money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So this is
I
the DC Wildstorm from 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 12 9.9s on the census. There's
What the
14
fuck?
10s. Yeah. There's 14 10s.
How the fuck does that happen?
That's one of those cardstock Wildstorms, I guess.
Is it cardstock?
It
Damn.
has to be.
So there's
Well-
also a Blockbuster video edition, and then there's only 20 of those on the census.
Damn, Easy. You just made me look bad, but good information.
Yeah,
That or,
I mean,
that or Comic Tom submitted it.
he had a warehouse full, and he has like 14 out of the 14 10 10
Everybody gets the
10s and 9s.
Well, maybe be watching for this book, I guess, if it's that easy of a 9.9. Shit. Because that'd have been... that'd be the birthplace of grading, right? Around that time.
Probably. The other thing
There was
to
grading
me,
before then, but you're still pretty early.
is even those thick ones, those blacks get scratches that you can only see in the light. But even if they're light, and you never completely know what your grader's going to do with those.
No.
You just don't. They're like, okay, this book, they must all have scratches. Now maybe I haven't touched this one in particular. It's a little bit different. Maybe it is from if there's 12 9.9s, but
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the raw copies that's on eBay right now, and yeah, it looks to be heavy. Like it's that combination of cardstock but also matte. So much in the vein of what am I thinking of? The Batman book, the one that had all the 9.9s and 10s, Batwing, Dan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Damn.
So that cover, the gear part is glossy, but the rest of the book is matte from the looks of it. So it's like one of those things where it's like it's going to just absorb fingerprints. It's not actually going to like show them. And it's a card stock, so it's just heavier because this book has a bend, has some damage in the corner. And honestly, it didn't show at all. Like there's no white crease on it. It's just a bend, and it stayed black. So I'm like, it's just one of those books that's got the perfect alignment of all the things to make it so that it's super resilient and easy to get in high grade.
So out of all the covers, also the other one that got 9.9s was the variant cover. So there's a variant for this, but it seems to be pretty light to find. Like there's only 29 graded.
yeah. And to be honest, I don't know, maybe if I was bidding on that book, I'd really know. But I might check. But yeah, maybe you think the 9.9 would sell a little more just from some of the bidders not checking. Or maybe Sparkle City just has intelligent buyers at times.
Would this have been the same era as the what's the vampire book with the chick?
All of them?
No, the werewolves versus vampires, the movie.
Underworld.
Is this the same era as Underworld, where there's a lot of 9.8s, 9.9s of that one?
Probably.
Maybe that's
Looking
what
up
it is.
when
They just
Underworld is.
had that just really high quality production. That might be, we just hit that window of they were doing some really nice work.
Well, but Underworld was IDW, not Wildstorm.
Oh, you're right. Shit. Are you sure it wasn't Wildstorm?
I'm looking at it right now. It is IDW.
All right. Well, then I have no fucking logic on this, and I give up. All right. I just grabbed this book as I didn't know we were going to talk about it, but I almost left it off. But this is one of those, we talk about James Gunn loving the obscure characters. This is not the first appearance of Legion, but the first appearance of several of the characters within Legion, most notably Brainiac 5, Phantom Girl, and Triplicate Girl, which are some of the, the big time players in that. Action 276. This is one that I've probably bought and sold a shit ton of copies because I gain faith, lose faith, gain faith, lose faith. Because I don't think anybody's been able to touch the Legion well. Even the animated stuff is somewhat crap. So, an interesting book to buy if you can find one in a nice grade. Yeah. I'm going to end on this one for Paul because he doesn't want to show up, but I did save it for him. 10 Penny Funnies number 6, 1978 Barbaric Fantasy. It's a Peter Laird produced book. Apparently, from the seller had connected that this is from 78, but Laird in the late 70s worked for owned a used bookstore comic shop type place and was self-publishing. This is basically the size of a piece of paper folded in half. So 6 point something by 4 point something. He printed, he said several hundred of them, never sold enough to break even. So yes, it's not a Turtles book at all, but if you're a Turtles fan, this is probably one of those books that you would kind of get interested in as early creator work. I'm sure number 1 is much more interesting than number 6, but damn, I didn't even know these existed. Did any of you guys?
Not at all. Looks like a prototype for either Alf or Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, this is in the world of, we all have heard of graphic fantasy, but I think this is in that realm of rarity there, of just somebody who was self-publishing and doing shit. And this
I would be scared of, fakes. Since it's, Xerox paper, basically.
Probably. I don't know if anybody knew to fake the damn thing at some point.
That's true.
Where do you find one to even fake it?
All right, I don't know.
That's true.
Fuck, man, I'd never heard of this book one time. And Paul did chime in on the chat and go, nice turtle book. But I mean, you got to be deep in the turtle lore to go up for that one. And he's never mentioned it to us.
Bebop prototype?
Yeah, let's go with that. Bebop prototype. All right. That's it for the Marco report. Anybody got any pickups this week?
Nothing for me.
No, not really.
I have a single card, but I'm not going to pull it out of my case just to show that.
All right.
Because this is really more comics than cards. So,
well, then I bought some cool shit, hopefully for next week. I'm psyched about it. I haven't made a big purchase in probably 6 months or more, and I finally got something that tickled my fancy. So I will.
It's a
hope
brand
to show
new
that
car.
next week. You what?
It's a brand new car, isn't it? Don't lie.
It is a brand new car. I put a nice Spider-Man wrap on it. All right. Thank you all for watching. Gentlemen, thanks for signing on a last-minute show that I didn't realize the boss man wasn't here for. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next week.